Now here it is in Proverbs chapter 8, beginning in verse 18. We find here that this is King Solomon that is speaking. And so we understand that King Solomon was extraordinarily wealthy, very, very wealthy. His palace was just laden with gold and all kinds of precious materials. He was extraordinarily wealthy man. The kingdom of Israel, through his leadership, was extraordinarily prosperous. His dad, David, got it to the point of being a military force to be reckoned with, and then Solomon, with all of his wisdom, came in and he became extraordinarily wealthy. So as we look at this, here it is that King Solomon says in Proverbs chapter 8 in verse 18, riches and honor are with me, enduring wealth and righteousness. So he has riches. Absolutely, he's very wealthy. He has honor. Absolutely. People are coming from all over the world just to hear him and just to hear his wisdom and how God has blessed him in such a phenomenal way. And he says, enduring wealth. Yes, he has that enduring wealth and righteousness. So as he pursues God, he has that righteousness. And then it goes on the next verse, in verse 19. It says, my fruit is better than gold, even pure gold, and my yield better than the choicest silver. So my fruit is better than gold, even pure gold, even the best of the best gold, and my yield, what I'm yielding on that, what I'm returning on that, is even better than the choice silver. So what is the fruit in which he's talking about? What is the fruit in which he is telling us about? It's not his gold, it's not his silver, obviously, because it says fruit is better than that gold, even the pure gold, and his yield, his return, is even better than the choice silver. He goes on in verse 20 and begins to tell us. He says, I walk in the way of righteousness in the midst of the path of justice. I walk in the way of righteousness and in the midst of the path of justice. Friend, if we're walking in righteousness, in other words, we're walking with God. It's the only way we can walk in righteousness is if we're walking with God. And we're walking in the midst of justice. We're doing what is just. We're doing what is right in the eyes of God is just. So as we're doing that, we begin to understand this is his fruit. Verse 21, it says, to endow those who love me with wealth, that I may fill their treasures. So what is his fruit? His fruit is to endow those who love me with wealth and fill their treasures. Is he talking about gold? Is he talking about silver? Is that the kind of wealth he's talking about? Absolutely not. It's not the kind of wealth, that's not the kind of silver he's talking about. He's talking about the wealth of wisdom, the wealth of the knowledge of the way of righteousness, the wealth of the knowledge of the way of justice, the ways of God to teach you and to lead you and guide you in that. Friends, you can give somebody $1 million today, and you know, people win lotteries and people get big settlements and people get all of this money, and then all of a sudden they go crazy. They don't know what to do with it. Sometimes many people, after they get that large sum of money, they go bankrupt after a certain amount of time because they don't know what to do with it. They lose their mind. They go crazy. But when we are entrusted with the wealth of the wisdom of God, friends, that's the greatest treasure. And that is what Solomon says that he wants to invest in. Most wise man ever walked on the face of the earth. He said that's what he wants to invest in you. So if we want to have great fruit in our life, you know, we may not have a lot of money to give, may not have any money to give, might not have a penny to our name. But we can invest wisdom into people and invest the ways of righteousness into people and invest the ways of God into people by teaching them the truth of the Word of God. And that is the most precious fruit that we could ever bear.